Okay, everyone, let's settle down. It's 8 o'clock, and I'm calling to order night six of the Arlington Annual Town Meeting. Welcome to Retro Night tonight, where we'll be returning to some previously postponed articles. And we'll be starting after our opening ceremonies. We'll be starting with Articles 10, 21, and 30 without further motion because they were postponed to this night, so we're going to take those first. And then after those three articles, we'll resume the normal sequence at Article 50, where we left off at the end of Monday night. But first, it's my pleasure to introduce Lucy Pyle. She's a senior at Arlington High School, where she sings first soprano in the Madrigal Singers, as well as the school's other choral ensembles. Ms. Pyle also plays bluegrass and rock fiddle, but tonight she'll be gracing us with her voice. So please rise and let's join her in the national anthem. Thank you for that. Okay, Mr. Hurd, I believe you have a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. John Hurd, Chair of the Select Board. It is moved that if all the business of the meeting as set forth in the warrant for the annual town meeting is not disposed of at this session, then the meeting adjourns. When the meeting adjourns, it adjourns to Monday, May 18th, 2026 at 8 p.m. in Town Hall.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second to reconvene on Monday if we don't finish tonight. All those in favor say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. It is unanimous. Point of order, Mr. Revelak.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The speakers on this side of the room do not seem to be producing any sound. If there's something that could be done about that at some point, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Is there anything we can do about that? Okay, we're going to be working on it, and so I'll try to speak more loudly or closer to the microphone, hopefully without popping. So let's now bring up our test question. Remember, the theme tonight is Retro Night, and I'm wearing my pin here. I feel that town meeting members have been a little too in the know and too informed about the test question, so I figured I'd throw it maybe a little bit of a curveball. The question, this is not a true or false, this is your actual opinion, and I really want your best informed or uninformed opinions. Should the speedrun leaderboard for the classic Nintendo video game Super Mario Bros. Allow players to swap input devices between keyboard and game controller during level and warp transitions? I assure you, this is a hotly contested question within the speedrun community today. I have a very strong opinion about this, but of course I need to remain neutral. So 1 for yes, to allow device swapping, and 2 for no, meaning a player must use the same input device throughout their entire speed run. Yeah, point of order. Mr. Harrelson?
Brooks Harrelson, Precinct 16. Until the speaker is fixed, could speakers speak more slowly, please? Because the sounds are bouncing off of that wall and getting muddled by the time we can hear them.
Got it. I'll try to remind speakers and to speak more slowly myself. Okay, so I think we can close. Did we open? Yes, we can close voting. And the motion fails. 63 in the affirmative, 74 in the negative, 45 abstaining. So we will not allow input device swapping of speed runs in town hall. Okay, so we'll cycle through the screens. And are there any announcements? And while these are going on, do we have any announcements or resolutions tonight? Yes, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Alan Jones, Precinct 14. I would like to introduce Meredith Zona, who is president of the Friends of the Robinstown Gardens, to talk about a party they're having next month.
Okay, yes, and she's a resident of Arlington?
Yes.
Yes, so she has the right to speak.
Hi, I'm Meredith Sona, president of the Friends of the Robinstown Gardens, Arlington citizen. Thank you, Alan, for this moment. I'm here because the Friends are having their annual garden party and fundraiser on Friday, June 5th from 6 to 9 p.m. That's our main fundraiser for the year, and we're hoping to have a good turnout, good weather too. We are honoring this year Jim Feeney, town manager, because he's long been an advocate for restoring the town gardens. And I want to add that we've received a lot of great CPA funding, which you'll find if you go up to the Lions hearing room over the years, but CPA funds only cover capital improvements and not operation and maintenance. And there could be a lot more done to restore and maintain the gardens, and that's what the Friends are all about. We are a fundraiser for the town, for these gardens. So the tickets are $75. There's going to be some notices out on the tables, and certainly if anybody visits the Friends of the Town Gardens, Robinstown Gardens website, it's very prominent how you could get tickets for the event. So I hope people will come out, and guess that's about it. Thank you very much for your time.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Is this? Hello? This microphone is not on. Whoever is adjusting the audio, this mic is not on. Okay, they're working on it. Are there any other
The
announcements?
satellite room can hear you with that microphone speaker.
Oh, really? Okay. But it's not, you can't hear me down in the hall through the sound system. Okay, so that's interesting. So, all right, everyone up to the satellite room. Okay, any other announcements or resolutions? Which one? Sure, I can try the hand. Yeah. Can everyone hear me? Can the satellite room hear me? Yes. Great, thank you. Turn that off. Any other announcements or resolutions tonight? Yes, we have a hand here. Yeah. And I believe we have slides, is that right?
Me?
No slides, okay, go ahead.
Sue Doctorow, Precinct 21, co-chair of the CPA committee. We just wanted to remind everybody at the break to come up and have some cake, as a beautiful town hall adorned cake will be served. So we'll see you there at the break. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Any other announcements or resolutions tonight? Okay, seeing none, the call for reports of committees. Are there any reports of committees to be received tonight? Yes, Ms. Gruber, but first, Ms. Deschler.
Christine Deschler, Chair of the Finance Committee. I move that Article 3 be taken from the table.
Okay, we have a motion to take Article 3 from the table, and we have a second. All those in favor say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. It is unanimous. We have Article 3 in front of us, and Ms. Gruber, you have 4 minutes.
Rebecca Gruber, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 10, and member of the Town Meeting Procedures Committee. On behalf of my fellow committee members, Adam Oster, Chris Moore, former member John Warden, and Greg Christiana, I move that the Town Meeting Procedures Report be received as published on the town's website.
Okay, we have a motion to receive the report of the Town Meeting Procedures Committee, and a second. All those in favor say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. It is unanimous. It's now before us.
And just a few highlights from the report. In addition to our comments and vote on Article 89, Resolution Hybrid Town Meeting, the committee expressed its gratitude for the service of its founding member, Mr. John Warden. We submitted 2 proposals to amend the town bylaws that are on this year's warrant, Articles 12 and 13, which respectively establish rolling membership appointments on the committee and adopted the updated version of town meeting time. The committee also undertook 2 efforts to make town meeting more transparent to our community. One was the addition of 3 pages to the warrant which is mailed to every Arlington household, that describes in a simple way the purpose of the warrant and the process of article hearings. We thank Julie Brazil, Town Clerk, and the Select Board for their support of this effort. And 2 was a pilot project to capture in single tables information such as agendas, minutes, and meeting recordings about the warrant article hearings held by the Select Board, Redevelopment Board, and Finance Committee. The committee wants to thank the individuals who made this effort possible. They all stood up on the first night, but if they're sitting near you, you might acknowledge them. Julie Brazil, Jagat Adia, Ed Blundell, Len Diggins, Annie LaCourte, Marina Popova, Steve Revelak, and Stacy Smith. Thank you.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me now? And satellite room, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Do we have any other reports of committees to be received? Seeing none. Ms. Deschler?
Christine Deschler, Chair of the Finance Committee. I move that Article 3 be laid upon the table.
Okay, we have a motion to lay Article 3 upon the table, and we have a second. All those in favor say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. It is unanimous. That brings us now to the articles that were postponed previously, starting with Article 10. So can we show the speaker queue and clear the speaker queue? Okay, the speaker queue is now open for Article 10. I now invite up who's introducing this? Mr. Hurd, are we beginning with you?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. John Hurd, Chair of the Select Board. As I forgot my Select Board book in my car, I'm just going to bring up Dave Morgan to introduce this article.
Yep. Mr. Morgan? Okay, so this is the second introduction of Article 10, but there's been some changes, so go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening, everyone. David Morgan, Environmental Planner, Conservation Agent for the town. The substitute motion in front of you tonight includes 6 changes to the Wetlands Protection Bylaw. This is Title 5, Article 8 of the town bylaws. It includes the following. 1 is to move the current Section 9, which is the definitions, up to Section 2, renumber and enumerate lettering and so forth accordingly. In Section 5, there is a change for application for and issuance of determination of applicability or permit, which simply points the reader to the Arlington Regulations for Wetlands Protection for guidance on paying fees. Then in Section 12, there is a larger replacement, and here I want to note that the Benson amendment to the original language was incorporated in the second paragraph. This section specifies fines, the staff enabled to enforce those fines, and the time and duration of offenses. Then in section 16, there are a handful of changes. This will round out what I have to say. So the section 16 fees, 16A rules will have the sentence added, any applicant shall pay the application fee specified in the Arlington regulations for wetlands protection. Again, the point with these changes, in large part, is to take the fees out of the bylaw and put them into the regulations. Likewise, at section 16A2, replacing some language with all permit fees are tripled if work is started without a permit. That's it, section 16A4, and then 16A6, any application may be rejected or denied for failure to pay the permit fee. Section 16B has the lengthiest section of all. There's, I want to say, around 8 paragraphs being replaced there. Most of that language is the same. What's been removed is the section referring to a maximum consultant fee and a project size maximum fee. Those are all of the changes. Happy to welcome discussion.
Great, thank you. And is David White here to actually move the substitute motion? Yep. Since we need a town meeting member to move the substitute motion, since the recommended vote was ruled out of scope. Mr. White?
David White, Precinct 21, insert a substitute motion, Article 10.
You can just say, like, I moved my substitute motion.
I moved substitute motion, Article 10.
Okay, the substitute motion is moved and seconded. Thank you.
Okay.
So we're all set, thanks. So let's now go show the speaker queue. And just to summarize, like the other night, I ruled the recommended vote out of scope, and so this is a substitute motion that replaces what's effectively a no-action main motion at this point, since we don't have a main motion within scopes. This is a substitute motion to replace that. So we have 2 speakers in the queue. We'll just take them in order. Mr. Rudick, followed by Mr. Newton.
Ben Rudick, Precinct 5. I move the question and all matters before it.
Okay, we have a motion to terminate debate. It was a very short debate. And do we have a second? And we have a second. All those in favor of terminating debate under Article 10, say yes or yay. How about yay? Sorry. Yay. All those opposed to terminating debate, say nay. It is not terminated. And so do we have any other requests for speakers? So it sounds like the consensus is we want someone to speak. Mr. Tostick?
I'd like to get the opinion.
A name and precinct, please.
Oh, sorry. Alton Street, Precinct 17. I'm not going to move the question. I'd like to get the opinion of the sponsor of this article and perhaps the Board of Selectmen, since it's their article, on what they think of the amendments by Mr. Benson and Mr. White. Do they agree with them? Do they disagree with them, and why?
And by the proponent, it's presumably not the mover of the motion, Mr. White, but yeah. Yeah, Mr. It's Miller, right, Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. David Morgan, Environmental Planner and Conservation Agent. The motion by Mr. Benson to include a positive vote by the majority of the Conservation Commission, let's see, it is prior to the issuance of fines. That is perfectly reasonable. It's pro forma. We generally.
Yep, point of order. Yeah, maybe
Sure,
try
sorry.
raise the mic.
I can tell that's much better.
Let me just interject. Mr. Tosti, was your question about the substitute motion in general, or specifically about the clause, Mr. Tosti, that was it about the entire substitute motion, or the clause that was in the original Benson amendment, which won't be moved tonight because it's already incorporated into the substitute motion? You're asking about the whole substitute motion, or just that phrase that was in? Okay, you need to come up to a microphone. Yeah. So there was no Benson substitute motion. There was a Benson amendment, which amended the recommended vote,
Right.
which is no longer before us.
Okay, because that was approved the first night?
No, that motion was never made. It was published in the annotated warrant, but it was never moved on the floor of the meeting.
Okay, more paper killed.
Yeah.
Then the David White substitute motion to the original article. What is your opinion and the Conservation Commission's opinion of that?
I don't take an opinion, but Mr. Morgan?
Thank you. The motion brings the article language into scope and incorporates the Benson amendment. So I'm happy with this as written. We may pursue subsequent changes to the warrant article, or the bylaw rather, in a later town meeting, but for now, this is what the commission was seeking. This motion is what the commission was seeking. Yes, the substitute motion.
The substitute motion is
It brings everything within scope. This is, as drafted, this is the content that the commission wanted to have revised in the bylaw.
Okay. Next in the queue, we have Ms. Evans, followed by Mr. Fleming.
Winnell Evans, Precinct 14. I would appreciate a little bit of clarification. In the version of the article that's in the Select Board report under Section 12, the second paragraph says that the provisions of this bylaw, its regulations, et cetera, may also be enforced by the conservation agent, conservation administrator, or any police officer of the town. But that same section in the White substitute motion leaves out any police officer of the town. And I'm just wondering if that's an intentional change and why that was made, please.
Let's see. Mr. Morgan, can you speak to that, or Mr. White? Was that an intentional omission, or?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. David Morgan, Environmental Planner and Conservation Agent. Yes, that is intentional. We previously voted on, was it Article 11, that had a change to the enforcement and ticketing bylaw townwide, for which a police officer is allowed to do enforcement under the named bylaws and also the Arlington bylaw for wetlands protection, now that we've affirmed that vote. So when I revised the language, I removed the police officer but maintained the language about the administrator and agent.
So that would have been redundant to keep that in this text, or?
I believe that since a police officer is entitled to enforce the language in this bylaw in another town bylaw, it doesn't need restating in this motion.
Great, thank you. Let's see. Our next speaker has disappeared from the list. That takes us to Mr. Greenspan, followed by Ms. Garber.
Judith Garber, Precinct 4. So
someone said that the Benson amendment language had been incorporated into the White substitute motion. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
So do we need to vote on the Benson amendment?
You don't, well, there is no Benson amendment. It hasn't been moved at the meeting, and it won't be because it's now redundant with the substitute motion, which incorporates that text.
Great, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Seeing no other speakers in the queue, we will now proceed on a vote on the substitute motion as presented by Mr. Morgan. I'm not going to cover all the details of it. Yes, we have a point of order. Yep. Come to the microphone, please. Are you still, the microphone, the speaker's still not working out there? Okay. Are we making any progress on the speakers toward the front, on the sides? Okay. Okay, this seems to be like a hardware problem with the mixer up here on stage. So would more time help? Okay, so we don't have any specific estimate of time. Okay, okay. Okay, so we have more speakers in the queue that we can take, and we'll try to speak more slowly and more loudly. Point of order? Yes, point of order? Where's that coming from?
Hello?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Matt Miller, Precinct 11. I see no improvement in the speaker list, and there's a lot of space. Has there been any attempt to make a change in that? Because with all that white space, it seems like it could be improved a lot.
It could be. Yeah, there's been no progress on that. I've asked about that, and there's been no progress on that. Yeah. Okay, so we'll take the next speaker. Let's say Ms. DeBiaga. Ms. DeBiaga? Going once, going twice. Okay, moving on to Mr. Israel. Pass. And we already had Mr. Tosti. Did you wish to speak again? No. Pass. Okay. So the folks over here, were you just not able to hear anything that was said for those few speakers? Okay. Okay. So we're going to proceed now with a vote on the substitute motion, the white substitute motion, as presented by Mr. Morgan earlier. And so this is a majority vote to substitute this in place of the main motion. So if you're in favor of making that substitution, this will not be the final vote under the article. It's just substituting to replace the main motion, which was ruled out of scope. And so this will make it the new main motion. If you're in favor of that substitution, press 1. If you're against that substitute, press 2 to leave the main motion as effectively no action. Okay, voting is, well, can we keep, votes are still coming in, so can we, okay, there it is. So 192 in the affirmative, 3 in the negative, 11 abstentions. The substitute motion passes, so that is now the main motion. So we're now going to take a majority vote on the main motion as substituted, which would amend Title 5, Article 8 to update the wetlands protection in the ways that the substitute motion specified. So if you're in favor of making those changes to the bylaws, press 1 for yes. If you're opposed to those changes to the bylaws in the main motion as substituted, press 2 for no, or 3 to abstain. Okay, voting is closed. And the motion passes. 204 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative, 7 abstentions. That is a majority vote. That takes us now to Article 21. Let's see, did the Select Board Chair or the Town Manager wish to lead us off on this, on the recommended vote?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. John Hurd, Chair of the Select Board. Sounds like I'm a little louder now. So we had presented on this before, I believe. So the original article as presented to us at our warrant article hearing, the Select Board voted by a vote of 5-0 to recommend no action to the meeting. We appreciated that what Mr. Hamlin was trying to accomplish relative to the sale of tax liens, but it was our understanding from town council and after the hearing that the town already complies with this process as outlined in state law, and we are not allowed to retain any equity beyond what is due on the tax lien and the tax sale. So in the original motion, it was a 5-0 vote of no action.
Great, thank you. And can we show and clear the speaker queue, please? And Mr. Hamlin, why don't you come up? Okay, can we clear the speaker queue?
All right.
Okay, speaker queue is clear. You can request to speak while Mr. Hamlin speaks. And Mr. Hamlin, you have the floor.
Thank you. Guillermo Hamlin, Precinct 14. Mr. Moderator, I moved the substitute motion under Article 21.
So we have, it's moved and we have a second. It is now before us. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. This substitute motion is intentionally narrower than the earlier language that was previously discussed at the warrant article hearing because it was categorically unlawful. So what Mr. Hurd said was 100% correct. This substitute motion is going to resolve that because this substitute motion does not attempt to rewrite Massachusetts tax title law, supersede Chapter 60, or interfere with the town's lawful collection authority as they are doing so under compliance with this state law. Instead, what this substitute motion is seeking to accomplish is to clarify, codify a modest local preference that Arlington prioritizes transparency, notice, and just a very low, reasonable administrative effort while remaining fully subordinate to state law. To repeat, this proposed language is reflecting concerns following this recent passage of state general law and the reforms surrounding home equity and tax foreclosure practices. At the same time, since then, with the substitute motion, I recognize the legitimate concerns raised to me by town council, our town manager, and I can only anticipate many of you regarding municipal authority, statutory structure, and I can only imagine in some cases some of you may think that this is a little wiggly when it comes to procedural scope. Let me be clear. This motion does not eliminate the town's collection powers. It does not really have a say in that because, as we said, state law does not invalidate Chapter 60's procedures, does not create some independent foreclosure rights. It does not compel expenditures outside of existing administrative resources of the town, so I'm not asking to spend any more money. What I'm seeking to do here, what I'm asking for you, is to seek your feedback, already provided regarding the distinctions of municipal charges, liens under Chapter 40, tax title procedures under Chapter 60, and I'm aware that due to the way it's written, some of it is a wee bit sloppy. I'll run it past ChatGPT next time. But in this instance, I'm seeking for important technical considerations, and ultimately that's why I'm bringing it before you here today. I respectfully suggest that any technical and administrative concerns that you may have, I bet they're valid, are best resolved through refinement, amendment, and further narrowing language rather than rejecting this entire substitution motion outright. The central question before town meeting is ultimately a very modest one. I believe that it is a reasonable discussion for this body to have, which is should we codify and make clear to the residents who often are going to seek us, the town, in the escalation ladder before going to the state on matters such as these, and to let them know what their rights are. So respectfully, I ask that you not only join me in supporting the substitute motion and then proceed to vote for it once it's become the main motion, but to scrutinize it so we can make it better together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's show the speaker queue, and we have, it looks like 6 speakers, 7 speakers in the queue. So let's go ahead and shuffle those since it's more than 5. Okay, it's now shuffled. Mr. Newton? Mr. Newton, followed by Mr. Tosti.
Sanjay Newton, Precinct 10. Mr. Moderator, I wonder if we might ask Town Council what the substitute motion that's in front of us might actually require the town to do or not do compared with state law as it exists today?
Sure. Mr. Cunningham? Can you enlighten the meeting with your legal opinion on this?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Cunningham, Town Council, and thank you for the question. I spoke to Mr. Hamlin about the changes. I don't think it requires anything additional for the town to do. It requires, as Mr. Hamlin put it, codifies state law, which is not required by this particular state law. And I can provide some legal background to this matter, but I don't want to take up your time.
No, I think you've answered my.
Okay.
Sorry, I think you've answered my question. I'll leave it there.
Mr. Tosti, followed by Mr. Hurd. And can folks hear better over here, or is it still, it's better? Okay, great.
Okay. Excuse me, Al Tosti, Precinct 17. With all due respect to the promoter, this is a solution looking for a problem.
I'm sorry, can you step up a little bit from the microphone? Thanks.
This is a solution looking for a problem. There is no problem now. The Supreme Court of the United States, in a fairly rare, I believe, unanimous decision, declared that this issue, what was happening before, where the town would take the entire property, including the equity, is illegal. It's unconstitutional. It is taking property. Coming in a little late, but always there, the legislature and the governor, the legislature passed legislation that declares it is illegal. So the Supreme Court of the United States declared it illegal, the state Commonwealth of Massachusetts declared it illegal, and now we're adding some extra words in our bylaws. For what reason, I have no idea. You know, once you start adding stuff into the bylaws, then if the state legislature changes something, all of a sudden now, well, wait a minute, that conflicts with our bylaws, and you got to go back and change it and make it copacetic. The legislature said that the town can sue or put a lien on property for the legitimate needs of the town, the taxes, the penalties, the expenses that the town takes to collect those taxes, and no more. And everybody's in agreement of it. Let's not clutter our bylaws with additional language, which is totally unnecessary. Thank you. So I urge you to vote no.
Great, thank you. And was that sound was pretty loud for me? Was it sound loud for you? Okay, so can we adjust maybe the volume on the center microphone, if possible? Yeah, can we try to adjust the volume down a little bit? Okay. Okay. Mr. Hurd next, followed by Mr. Greenspan. Yes, Mr. Hurd.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. John Hurd, Precinct 18, and Chair of the Select Board. Just wanted to come up and, once the substitute motion was actually moved, to
maybe try a different microphone.
Good. Just a couple thoughts about the substitute motion. I think, for one thing, it's significantly different than what was presented to us in the original warrant, and so the Select Board really didn't get to weigh in on some of the changes that are being presented to us now. I think both myself and a few speakers have talked about that the provisions relative to complying with state law are duplicative. The town already has to comply with state law relative to tax lien sales. But the substitute motion also creates a new process for payment plans that don't currently exist in town. Right now, the treasurer's office is not able to create payment plans. The substitute motion creates a bylaw change that now allows for payment plans, which is a significant change in practice, and does not create any parameters for which they enter into payment plans with individuals. This could be a good idea, I don't know, but it wasn't, as we just got the substitute motion yesterday and are processing it, my understanding is that the proponent wasn't able to reach out and talk to anyone from the Treasurer's Department to see if this is a good idea. So while the thought of allowing payment plans, I think at first glance sounds good, I think it's something that needs to be worked out with members of town staff to get the language correct and make sure it's appropriate in these situations. And with that, I'd like to ask the town manager if he has any thoughts on the substitute motion.
Mr. Feeney, do you have thoughts on the substitute motion?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Hurd. I think you've just outlined one of what I would consider the primary changes as offered by the substitute motion is the introduction of payment plans. General Law, Chapter 60, Section 62A allows for municipalities to adopt a bylaw. And in that bylaw, you're supposed to specify the parameters for the length of time you can enter into a repayment plan for, what the minimum upfront interest payment should be, and how we would handle interest and potentially waive or forgive it. That has significant financial consequence to the community. I think our top 15 tax lien properties currently have accrued over $365,000 of interest, so there is significant tax lien receivable impacts to our revenue here. So this isn't just about home equity theft. This is in fact about something entirely different with respect to payment plans. And then secondly, it would seem to me in Section 3 that additional notices are being called for in addition to those that are statutorily required. So if we, at the end of each year are sending out between 200 and 300 demand notices and we're either duplicating that 1 or 2 times with additional notices, I do suspect there would actually be both a workload and cost burden associated with those additional notices. Thank you.
Thank you. Take Mr. Greenspan, followed by Mr. DiTullio.
Andy Greenspan, Precinct 5. I move to terminate debate on all items before this article.
Okay, we have a motion to terminate debate on all matters under Article 21, and we have a second. All those in favor of terminating debate, say yay. Yay. All those opposed, say nay. The yeas have it. It is a 2/3 vote. Debate is terminated. So we'll now take a vote on the substitute motion. So there's a vote on whether to substitute this in place of the no action main motion. I'm not going to cover all the details. You saw the presentation. So let's bring up a vote now. A lot of folks are entering the speaker queue. Let's bring up a vote on the Hamlin substitute motion. Okay, so voting is now open. If you want to substitute the Hamlin substitute motion to replace the main motion, press 1. If you want to leave the main motion, no action, press 2. Or 3 to abstain. This is a majority vote on the substitute motion. Okay, voting is closed. And the substitute fails. 18 in the affirmative, 190 in the negative, 10 abstentions. That now takes us to a vote on the main motion, which is no action. So I'll just take it by voice vote. It actually doesn't matter in practice either way, because either way we're taking no action. All those in favor of no action say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. It is a unanimous vote to take no action. Thank you. That takes us now to Article 30. And so let's switch over to the speaker queue and clear that, please. Okay, so we'd previously introduced Article 30, and then we had a motion to postpone, of course, until tonight. And I believe either Mr. Selker or Mr. Lewicki wish to make a motion. Yes, I'm going to lead us off because it'll make sense in a moment. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. JP Lewicki, Precinct 2. I move to postpone Article 30 to Monday, May 18th. Paul Schlichtman had an unexpected absence and could not make it tonight. So to allow him to present his substitute motion, I move that. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to postpone until Monday, May 18th. And we have a second. All those in favor of a second postponement, say yay. Yay. All those opposed, say nay. It is unanimous. It is now postponed until Monday, May 18th. That takes us now back to the normal sequence at Article 50. Mr. Revlak, did you want to introduce this? And the speaker queue is still clear and open. So if you wish to speak under Article 50, you can request to speak while Mr. Revlak is speaking, and if we get more than 5 requests, I will shuffle them. Mr. Revlak, you have the floor.
So, Mr. Moderator, would you like to say anything procedurally about 50 and 51?
Yes, I would. Thank you. How did you know? The presentations for 50 and 51, which I reviewed in advance, as I do for all slide presentations, cover substantially overlapping material because it's the same ultimate property and subject of them, even though there are 2 articles to cover 2 different aspects of them. So we're going to depart from what we ordinarily do of just having presentations that are limited to the scope of just the one article. We'll have a presentation to cover both to save the meeting some time, and I think it'll just be easier to follow and less disjointed that way. But then we'll proceed to separate debate under those 2 articles as we ordinarily do. So this is just for presentation purposes, so you don't have to have 2 very, very similar presentations covering a lot of the same material. So I'm just trying to save the meeting some time. Mr. Revlak?
Okay, yes. So I'm Steve Revlak, Vice Chair of the Arlington Redevelopment Board. And Articles 50 and 51 are citizen petitions involving a property of a 0 lot on Concord Turnpike, informally the St. Camilla's Church property. Article 50 proposes to rezone a portion of this from R1 to R6, and Article 51 would add dimensional regulations for an assisted living residence on more than 20,000 square feet in the R6 district. The Redevelopment Board voted to recommend favorable action on these articles by 5-0. Mr. Moderator, I would like to introduce Mary Winstanley O'Connor and Seamus Joyce to present the article. Ms. Winstanley O'Connor is a resident of Arlington. Mr. Joyce resides outside Arlington and will need the meeting's permission to address them.
Okay, so Ms. Winstanley is a resident of Arlington, correct? So she has the right to address the meeting as introduced, and our other guest is not a resident, so we'll take a voice vote. All those in favor of letting our non-resident guest speak under this article say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. It is unanimous. He has the right to address the meeting as well. Thank you, Mr. Revlak.
Finally, Mr. Moderator, the presenters would like to request 10 minutes to make their combined presentation.
Okay, we have a motion to request 10 minutes for the presenters, and we have a second. All those in favor of allowing the speakers 10 minutes to make their presentation as opposed to the normal 7-minute speaking limit, say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. It is unanimous that you have 10 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Revlak. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening. Mary Winstanley O'Connor, 781 Concord Turnpike, Arlington, Massachusetts. I represent the proposed developer of this project, HYM Investment. Article 50 is looking for an amendment to the zoning map to change an R1 district to an R6 district to allow for the construction of a proposed assisted living and memory care facility at that site. You all may be familiar with that site. I'm sure you've passed it numerous times as you drive up the access road to get on Route 2 West. It is that large asphalt parking lot next to St. Camilla's Church. Article 51 looks for a change in the dimension and density regulations to provide for a height of 50 feet an FAR of 1.2 and 3 stories for an assisted living facility in an R6 zone on more than 20,000 square feet. I'm going to leave it to Mr. Joyce to describe the project. I can tell you that this has been in the works for some time. St. Camilla's has picked this entity, this group, to do this assisted facility if the town meeting changes the zoning map to accommodate this, and the redevelopment board approves a special permit. This was approved by St. Camilla's. It was approved by the Archdiocese of Boston. It went all the way to the Vatican to get approved, and now it's back to Arlington Town Meeting for approval. I would suggest to you, as also a resident of this town, that there are significant benefits to rezoning this property and placing an assisted living here. First of all, there is a need for this type of use. The second thing is, as you may know, because the land is now owned by the church, it is tax exempt. This will put this 4+ acre parcel back on the tax rolls, and we have estimated that it would generate approximately $600,000 a year in additional real estate tax revenue, with very limited cost to the public by way of, there'd be no trash pickup, no children in the schools, so it would have a minimum burden. The next is it would create jobs. And there's also, it is very important because the church has expressed concern, this will be financial stability for the church. This is why the church is doing this. This is only the beginning if this passes. It has to go to the redevelopment board under the special permit rigorous criteria. There has been already extensive amount of outreach to town departments and department heads and to the public and to the surrounding precincts, people in the precincts that surround it. And what this developer has done is we have represented that we will enter into a development agreement with the town that if this property is rezoned to an R6, the only thing that will be built there is an assisted living complex, because there was some concern about an apartment complex. It will not be. This developer will only be building an assisted living and memory care unit if this is approved. So this is only the first step. It has to go to the redevelopment board where it will be vetted as to infrastructure, traffic, and all the construction. So thank you for allowing me to speak. I will now ask Mr. Joyce to take you through the project. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Seamus Joyce. I'm with the HYM Investment Group. I'm part of the development team that is looking to construct and develop this senior living community. HYM is a Boston-based real estate firm. We've worked on a number of projects around the Boston, Metro Boston area. Experience Senior Living is a national owner-operator of senior living communities. They would be operating this community. They would be long-term operators of this community. Next slide, please. Okay. Sorry, I project. So for everybody's clarity, the only area that is currently under consideration for a rezoning is the area within the dotted lines. It's about 4 acres. St. Camilla's Parish owns a larger amount of real estate. We would not be changing the zoning on any of that, including where the church is, including across the street of Dow Avenue near Poets Corner. The only thing that we are voting on today is to change the R1 district within the dotted lines to R6 and the height as well. Next slide, please. So just to refresh on the groups that are involved in this, Experience Senior Living, nationally well-known group, 20 senior living communities already in operation in the United States. They've partnered with HYM to expand their footprint into New England. We currently have a project down in Plymouth that is permitting. We have a project in Weston, and we're looking to do more of these. Arlington is a terrific opportunity. We think there's a real need for this use here. CBT is our architect. They're a Boston-based architect that HYM has completed a number of projects with. They're a best-in-class group and have built some very high-quality buildings. We are very excited with what they would build here. Next slide, please. So just giving everyone an overview, again, the only thing we're touching is within the dotted lines. We are proposing a 145-unit assisted living community. That would be 110 assisted living units and 35 memory care units. It would be 3 stories in height, and it would be staffed 24/7. Next slide, please. As we looked at the site, we understand we are in a residential community, and we want to be good neighbors. So we are very purposeful in our building will have a buffer of at least 50 feet from our property line, and leaving as many trees and buffering space as possible with the neighboring neighborhoods. We also are setting our building behind St. Camillus, so it would not overshadow St. Camillus along the highway on Route 2. And then finally, our entrance will be aligned with Campbell Road to make a much better vehicular experience. Next slide, please. So this is a preliminary site plan of our proposed 145-unit community. Parking has been a major topic which people have asked about. One thing I can confirm is all of our uses would be parked within those dotted lines and on our site. We're proposing 0.7 spaces per unit. That amounts to a little over 100 spaces. That is well above current bylaws of Arlington of 0.4. So most people that live, most residents of our communities don't have cars. Memory care patients don't have cars. Assisted living folks, they might come with a car, but they lose it. The majority of those people would be the workers coming here, although many would be taking public transportation, and then visitors. The church would also be maintaining all of its parking. 220 spaces today. Most of that, or a portion of that would stay, 44 spaces to the west of the church, 20 spaces to the east, and then we'd be constructing 165 space repaving of a lot across Dow Ave. There's been a lot of concern from the community. We've had some great conversations with local abutters, including town meeting members. There was a landfill across the street on Dow Ave and a dump, old dump there. And there's been concern to develop anything on that parcel of land. We are not looking to build anything on that parcel of land. We think the best use of that space is to recap and repave that parking lot and let the church own and operate it and use it. Next slide, please. So here's just a couple of views. Again, these are early schematics, but we really want them to be residential in nature, hence the sloped roof, the 3 stories, and have it really fit and not overpower the church, which is on the right. This is from Dow Ave. Next slide, please. This is from Route 2, the church, again, in the foreground with the building behind it. The building has many peaks. It's not one monolithic wall. We really do feel like it fits in with the character of the neighborhood. Next slide, please. Mary already discussed this, but if we pass zoning today, this is the first step. We still have to go through a very thorough special permit process with the Arlington Redevelopment Board, and we look forward to jumping into that. Next slide, please. As Mary mentioned, senior housing is a need in this community. The majority of folks that live in these communities are coming from the residents that they're in. So a lot of Arlington Town residents we plan to have living in this community. Tax revenue, currently not taxed, $600,000 annually in taxes is what we're projecting. Low municipal impact, no school-age children. It's a 24/7 staff facility. So if there is an emergency call, 911, they're hearing a trained professional on the end. We feel this is much safer than spreading out maybe folks in need around the town and in their individual homes. This is not a nursing home. I want to be clear on that. This is not a skilled nursing. This is assisted living, memory care. Job creation, 150 jobs will be created from this in waves of 30 to 50 per shift. And then,
you
as
have
mentioned,
10 seconds.
The church, this allows the church to remain open. This transaction allows it to remain open for years to come. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Mr. Joyce and Ms. Winstanley, thank you. So just to remind folks, as far as the scope of the debate under this article, Articles 50 and 51 are zoning changes. So it's not you're not voting specifically or technically to approve a particular project. You're voting ultimately on zoning changes, which obviously affect the project that was just presented. And so debate is now open on, or has been open on Article 50 specifically, which would amend the zoning map to rezone that roughly 4.5 acre portion of that lot along Concord Turnpike from R1 to R6. So let's see, the speaker queue is up. Yeah, so we have far more than 5 speakers, so we'll go ahead and shuffle, but can we shuffle those now? Okay, speakers have been shuffled, and so we're starting with Mr. Jaspin, followed by Mr. Fleming.
I didn't expect to be first. Barry Jaspin, Precinct 18. So I am in a butter of the Poet Corner property that is across Dow Ave from the church. I've been concerned for many years. I know 25 years ago the church tried to sell that land for development. The neighborhood organized against it. That sale didn't happen. We don't really know why. But there was a lot of concern about the dump. There was some specialists that were brought in. The neighborhood brought in specialists to do studies, to look at the data, and felt that the dump was very, very unsafe to dig up. I actually don't need to go into that. So the neighborhood has also been aware for many years that that land, again, on the Poet Corner side was for sale again. The church was trying to sell it. There wasn't so much organization this time. There was some. But as far as we knew, the land was for sale. And then a few months ago, we got a notice from the church about an abutters meeting, and we all went, and we learned about this plan to build on the church's side of Dow Ave, not on top of the dump. The big concern about the dump is if you're going to build a building, you got to dig down, you put in a basement or a foundation or whatever, and no one knows what's in that dump. Actually, I'm going to mention what I said I'm going to skip. I spoke with a gentleman, Richard Puttister, who lives on the other side of Route 2. He's in his 70s. He grew up in this area. We went for a walk around the neighborhood. He told me when he was 6 years old, the dump was open. He showed me where Clematis Brook used to run next to the dump. He said there was a fence around the dump that was staffed until about 6 p.m., and that after 6 p.m., any person, any company that wanted to dump anything they wanted just showed up and threw it over the fence. And that, chemicals, food waste, appliances, who knows what's down there. So as someone who literally, my backyard abuts that property, I've been very concerned about that dump getting developed. So the church then announced this plan to build this facility on the church's side of Dow Ave, and the land on the Poet Corner side is no longer for sale. As Seamus explained, the church is going to be selling a big part of its parking lot. They need that parking for various events where they have lots of people coming. They're going to be resurfacing the parking lot on the Poet Corner side, the currently dilapidated parking lot that's being used as staging for construction that's unrelated to this project. They will be resurfacing it. They will not be digging down. They will, I think he just said, capping. So this takes away the risk of my family and all the abutters' families getting poisoned by whatever is under that dump. All the other reasons that Seamus listed, right? Assisted care, assisted living and memory care sounds great. Low impact on the town, extra tax revenue, all sounds wonderful. I live 3 doors up Campbell Road from the main entrance to this facility. So one of the concerns is increased traffic. Anyone who's going to be driving in and out of that facility on Campbell Road is driving right across my front yard. So I'm going to suffer from that traffic as much as anyone. Nevertheless, I'm strongly in favor of this proposal. I'm very happy that the church made this choice. I want to commend Father Mark, who, as far as I know, isn't here tonight. I don't know what alternative bids he had for property, for purchases on one side or the other, but he chose this one. This is the best possible outcome we really could have imagined. The church, it would be great. I'd love to see the land stay the way it is, right? It's a big open area, lots of grass, mature trees, people walk their dogs there. It would be wonderful. My kids learned to bike in that parking lot. They learned to skate in that parking lot. I would love for it to stay that way. But it's private land, and the church wants to sell it, and they're going to sell it. And if they don't sell it to this developer, they're going to sell it to someone else, and it's probably going to be a giant apartment building. So I'm just speaking strongly in favor of it. I've met with Seamus lots of times, asked him all my questions, and I think this is a really great project. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fleming next, followed by Mr. Gast.
James Fleming, Precinct 4. I have a question, Mr. Moderator, about the tax revenue. It sounds like there are two things happening with this parcel. The first is that we do or don't approve the zoning map amendment to this parcel. The second thing that happens if it is approved and 51 gets approved is that the building is built. The question is, does the zoning change from R0 to R6 have any effect on the assessment of this property?
I believe it's R1 to R6.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
yes, R1 to R6.
Does that change in zoning, in zone, have any effect on the assessment of the property? Ms. O'Connor?
Well, I'll answer this as one of the assessors.
I'm sorry, name and
Yeah,
please.
Mary Winstanley O'Connor. The answer is yes. Changing the zoning does impact it. It increases the assessed value, but it's really when the structure is actually built on it that the entire site will have a value of, will generate taxes of about $600,000 a year.
Thank you. Mr. Moderator, could I get a very, even if it's a ballpark breakdown of, is it, say, 10% because of the zoning, and what's the mechanism that justifies an increased assessment just because of a zoning map change versus the actual structure?
Ms. O'Connor? Or Mr. Joyce, can you speak to like in terms of the ballpark of how much of that increase in assessment for property tax purposes, how much of that increase would be due to the change in zoning versus having a building like as was presented on that lot?
Mary Winstanley O'Connor. It's hard to quantify it that way. It clearly increases the assessed value of the land by changing the zoning from a single R1 to an R6. But I can't quantify it in that respect. I can't say 2080 or something like that. Sorry.
That's okay. Mr. Moderator, if I may clarify, it sounds like there are two sources of value. One is the value of the land itself, which is affected by the zoning map, and then there is the value of the structure that gets built, which is as yet to be determined. Is that correct?
Mr. Jameson, did you have answers to that question?
Yes, Gordon Jameson, Chair of the Arlington Board of Assessors. The property currently is owned by a nonprofit, so there is no tax revenue. When we change it, it'll still be owned by the nonprofit until they sell it. And then it would be buildable property, so it would be a buildable lot, so the value would go up of the land itself, because you could build things on it. You can build things on it now if the church built it, but the church doesn't want to build it. And if the building does come to pass, that might provide revenue, assuming it is not operated by a nonprofit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, followed by Mr. Bean.
Austin Brown, Precinct 6. So first of all, yeah, this is definitely a real need. My uncle is looking for a elder care facility, and he's having a real hard time finding a place. So definitely the need is there. The question that I want to ask is, how final are these plans that have been presented? You know, are we sure that the story is going to be are we sure that the structure is going to be a 3-story building? You know, if we pass this, is there any chance that it could get up to a 4-story or 5-story or something like that building?
Right. So, Ms. O'Connor? I mean, there's certainly no guarantees. Can you speak to like the likelihood in your opinion?
Mary Winstanley O'Connor. The change to the dimensional and density table restricts it to 3 stories, 50 feet, and 1.2 FAR. So it can't be 4 or 5 stories, and otherwise the proposal as it presently exists comes within the bylaw requirements for setbacks and the like.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Bean, followed by Mr. Tremblay.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'd like to introduce an Arlington resident.
I'm sorry, name and precinct, please.
David Bean, Precinct 8. I'd like to introduce Mr. Bill Finnerty, an Arlington resident who would like to speak to this article.
Okay, since he's an Arlington resident, he has the right to address the meeting.
Good evening, Mr. Moderator.
Your name and address, please.
Bill Finnerty, 806 Mass Ave, Precinct 18. Good evening, Mr. Moderator.
Yeah, to speak into the
Mr.
microphone, please.
Moderator, in the Select Board, the Town Manager, town meeting members. I'm a proud 60-year proud resident.
Yeah, speak into the mic, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a 60-year proud resident of Arlington, 60 years, in St. Camillus Church. I stand here tonight with Paul Revere, William Dawes, and I'm sounding the alarm on Article 5051. This is about a church, the St. Camillus Church land sale. The warrant hides the name. Not one word about the church in the warrant article. It's keeping the residents and abutters in the dark. They won't know the truth until the wrecking ball and the bulldozers show up. It's underhanded, deceiving. The developer and town board want to whistle this through while you are asleep at the switch. This isn't a technical R1 mumbo jumbo. It's a sell-off of the beautiful St. Camillus land. It's being replaced by a massive 3 to 4 story high, 50-foot high nursing home, assisted living, whatever you want to call it. It's not senior living. It's a mass complex with 145, 150 units. It's going to cast shadow over the church. Nobody needs this. Nobody can afford $15,000 a month. No Medicare is going to cover this. No veterans insurance, VA is going to help with this. There's already 6 other nursing homes within a mile of the church. It's like a little strange conflict that one of the town assessors is in a dual role, working for the town of Arlington and representing the developer HYM here as her client. That's odd. This is a high-density land grab by an out-of-state Denver mega-billion-dollar corporation developer. It's taken over 5 acres of our golden R1 land. The entire east side of the church from Route 2 to Dow Ave is going to be wiped out. You can't tell from these pictures that they put up. If it passes, everything's gone. We have a 200 over car lit up, lighted parking lot that's critical. That will be gone. There's no parking, no church. The rectory that we've had beautiful for 60 years with a new roof, the priest's current home, gone. Monsignor Sullivan Center, the home base for the AA people that meet every single morning, 365 days a year, gone. 2 acres of open space, the vista, the green grass, the dog park field, the trees, gone. The beautiful open space is gone. The church leadership has some vague, fake idea about parking on the other side of Dow Ave. It's protected wetlands. It's toxic. There's an old landfill dump, like a previous speaker said. I've been here 60 years. They've never remediated it, never cleaned it up. The developer gets the golden land. In the neighborhood, we get the dump. The Alfa Romeo will look pretty good in the dump. Forcing seniors and down school kids to cross over Dow Ave is a death racetrack. It's unsafe, it's extremely dangerous, accidents will happen. The cars blow through the red light, the stop signs. At Easter Mass, St. Camillus Church, just a few Sundays ago, we had over 850 worshipers come and pack the church from Arlington, Belmont, other towns around. St. Camillus is alive and thriving. We have our financials are solid ground. We're in the black. We have no problems financially. Father O'Leary, the past pastor, had a solid financial standing. We need this land for the church and the neighborhood. No parking, no church, no neighborhood, no more community. Don't forget the Sims Hospital problem. The tax revenue they're talking about is a 0.2% rounding adjustment. Against a budget of this town, $250 million, this town, that is nothing, nothing. They claim 500, 600,000 in revenue. That's a half a house. Half a house. Is Is that all the history, is worth? It's half a house? We got a huge cost to the town, 150 units, that's fire, ambulance, 911 calls, plus a huge stress on the water and storage and infrastructure that's not there yet. Just don't forget the Sims Hospital fiasco. That took 20 years to clean up that developer's mess. And we can't risk another monster mess on a historic landmark like a church. And don't fall into this trap about the 40B, lesser two evils. The 40B ghost story, they're trying to scare you into a yes vote on that. It's an idle threat, and it's not a plan. They're gonna vote today, doesn't stop, voting yes today doesn't stop at 40B tomorrow. The developer gets a foot in the door, and once they own the land, they have the town by the throat. So fight the fight that's in front of you tonight. Everything's not all about money, okay? It's the God's home, and it's priceless. You can't put a price on it. It's the great generation, World War II, my mom and father, they went to Arlington High School, some other people from that era. They built the church, they built a lot of the homes in this area. We owe them huge respect. We owe it to the families that have in the past, in the present, and future.
You have 10 seconds.
If this is gone, it can't be ever replaced. So please wake up, help us, help you, and vote no on this 50-51. Save St. Camilla's, our neighborhood, save Menotomy like it used to be. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take Mr. Tremblay next, followed by Mr. Tosti.
Ed Tremblay, Precinct 19. Mr. Moderator, I'm a little curious about the parking.
Parking?
I'm sorry?
Parking was?
Parking, yes. My recollection is that they said that they were going to have 100 parking spaces. Did I see that correctly?
Mr. Joyce, was it 100 parking spaces on the?
Yes, we would be providing for our use 100 parking spaces within the dotted lines for the assisted living community.
And so half of those are going to be taken up by staff.
30 to 50 for sure.
No, 50 is half of 100. And do you anticipate that the folks in the assisted living home will be having therapists and aides and like that come over to help?
So I don't anticipate. I have no anticipation. But Mr. Joyce, do you anticipate?
I don't believe so. I can answer this by saying that they have over 20 communities around the country in places where cars are far more prevalent in people's daily lives than they are here. And that 0.7 number is a number that has worked for them and what they strive in any community they're at. The current zoning in Arlington right now is 0.4 spaces. So we are going well above and beyond what is required of us.
Okay.
And just, workers, yes, 50 workers. A lot of those workers, we run shuttle buses to public transportation. A lot of these folks will be taking public transportation.
So you're going to be running a shuttle down to Alewife?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't really take the bus over to Poets Corner at all, but my recollection is that maybe other people can correct me. I didn't think the bus connections to that corner of Arlington were all that great.
We have a point of order. Is this about procedure or is this about?
Maybe somebody else can answer that. I don't know. I'm curious.
Okay.
No answers? Okay.
We will go through an extensive study to ensure that it works adequately. That would be part of our special permit process, doing a very intense transportation study, both vehicular and also how public transportation would be utilized.
And Mr. Moderator, there's one other question I have. I'm just curious. Maybe this is not my place to ask, and you can tell me that if it's the case. I'm just curious if the parishioners at St. Camilla's, if they ever had a chance to vote on this, and if they're as in favor of this as the leadership is?
Hold on. I'm not aware, and I don't see anyone. Do we have that information?
I can answer. I will say that our very first meeting was with dozens and dozens of parishioners. It was put on through Father Mark Bishop. Father Mark Bishop has been a very strong ally with us through this entire process. He went through many proposals when he was looking to find the right partner. He has expressed repeatedly that this transaction will keep the church open. And these are his words, not mine. It is needed to keep this open for decades. And the parishioners respect him, and we're in general support on the multiple meetings we have had at the church with many parishioners.
Okay. Well, we just heard from one that wasn't too happy, but, I don't know whether he's, a small minority but, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Tosti, followed by Mr. Newton.
Al Tosti, Precinct 17. This is a no-brainer. For years, what have we been looking for is new businesses that provide jobs and provide tax revenue and don't put a burden on our facilities. This is exactly what we're looking for. It's virtually on Route 2. It's going to provide 100 to 150 jobs and $600,000 in additional tax revenue we desperately need. We need to take some of the burden off the taxpayer. Parking, go up to Sunrise. I'm not sure how many units they are, but it's a 4 or 5 story building, and very little parking. I mean, by the time, I don't know if I've ever told anybody, but I am the very first baby boomer. Statistically, I was born May 15th, 1946, 9 months to the day after the Japanese surrender. I am the first.
All right, easy. All right, easy.
And in 2 days, I will turn 80, and behind me is a wave of baby boomers who are going to be past, Florida and past all these places, and they're going to be a wave of it into exactly what this service is, assisted living. And maybe eventually then after nursing homes. But, assisted living is a future. It is going to be a huge need. If you want to stay in your community, this is the type of facility you want. We have Sunrise, which needs very little parking. The place up on Sims Hill, very little parking there. It's provided a great service. Up on Sims Hill, they took a non-tax-paying entity, which is now putting taxes into the town. This will put taxes into the town. I can see very few negatives in this. I urge you, for future health of this community, to vote yes on both 50 and 51. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Newton.
Sanjay Newton, Precinct 10. I move to terminate debate on Article 50 and all items under it.
Okay. We have a motion to terminate debate, and we have a second. All those in favor of terminating debate under Article 50 say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. Nay. The yeas have it, about 2/3 vote. We will, let's see. If 5 people stand, you can count it. Okay. We'll go to electronic vote for termination of debate under Article 50. Okay, voting is open. If you wish to terminate debate, press 1. If you want to continue debate, press 2. And this is a 2/3 vote. Okay, let's close voting. And debate is terminated. 165 in the affirmative, 50 in the negative, 5 abstentions. It is a 2/3 vote. We'll now proceed on a vote of the main motion under Article 50, which I'll describe briefly. It's a motion to amend the zoning map to rezone a roughly 4.5 acre portion of zero lot Concord Turnpike from R1 to R6. And this is a 2/3 vote. Let's open voting now. So if you're in favor of this change to the zoning map, press 1. If you're opposed to this change to the zoning map, press 2, or 3 to abstain. Okay, let's close voting. And the motion passes. 207, no applause, please. 207 in the affirmative, 10 in the negative, and 3 abstentions. It is a 2/3 vote. Takes us now, we're coming up on 9:30, but I imagine that, it'd be best to continue this debate on Article 51, which covers a lot of the same topic, but this one is a change to the zoning bylaw table. So let's just take that right now. Do we have there's no separate presentation for this, right? I think we've covered the material. So let's just show the speaker queue and clear that. Okay, speaker queue is now clear and open for Article 51. If there's anything new that folks want to add, I know like a lot of the points that have been made are applicable probably to both articles. Okay, so we have several requests. Okay, and in 5 seconds, get your requests in, and then I'll have it shuffled. 4, 3, 2, 1, and can we go ahead and shuffle these now? Okay. Well, since there's several speakers here, why don't we take a recess now, and we'll come back, and there's a bunch more to discuss. All right, we'll recess for 10 minutes. Come back 10 minutes sharp. We're getting started, and we're back in session. Okay, let's bring our conversations to a close, please. Oh, and I need my glasses. Okay, so we're starting off with Ms. Babiars, followed by Mr. Stephen Moore. Okay, let's quiet down, please, and find our seats. Okay. Okay, everyone, quiet, please. Ms. Babiars, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Joe Babiars, Precinct 15. I have 2 questions, Mr. Moderator, and I'm not sure who is the best
Yes, what are your
person
questions?
to answer. The first one is, will there be any financial review of the contracting group? Will they be required to provide evidence that they have a good bond rating, that they can meet the contract demands and complete construction? Will there be any bond required?
I'm gonna have to call a scope on that unless you're gonna directly relate that to the change in dimensional and density regulations for assisted living residences on lots over 20,000 square feet in the R6 district, which was very recently updated.
Well, I'm saying that we're presuming that both of these amendments are going to work. I mean, if one has been approved, then the second one is required as well. And my question goes to both of them, frankly, 50 and 51.
One of them was approved. It has to, zoning changes go through approval by the Attorney General's office, is that true? Yeah. So it's approved by town meeting. There's still further review downstream from here, but town meeting did just approve that moments ago. And now what's before us is an amendment to the zoning bylaw to change dimensional and density regulations for assisted living residences. So the zoning map the zoning map change has been approved by town meeting. There is still more review downstream,
and now we're focused on density and dimension regulations.
So the density and regulations fit into my second question, which
Okay.
is, has there been a feasibility study for $15,000 a month to occupy this group, which is the monthly rent suggested? As a retiree in Arlington, it's beyond my budget. Feasibility study for the density.
For the particular project that was presented on?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not within scope here under Article 51.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a point of order.
Charles Foskett, Precinct 8. Mr. Moderator, I object to your excluding financial discussion and any discussion of the financial characteristics of the proposed project when you allowed a developer and the developer's lawyer to present that as a rationale for a zoning change. That's just not, doesn't make sense. And this speaker is asking some valid questions. And I oppose your position of scope.
Acknowledged. Thank you, Mr. Foskett. So I ask again, can you relate that to the dimensional and density regulations?
You expect that somebody's going to be living in those density areas. And the previous presentation discussed $15,000 a month. Is there a feasibility study that says, and the benefit is to go to the people of Arlington, presumably. We do have a large number of elderly. We do have significant housing problems for the elderly. How does the $15,000 monthly rent become affordable for people in our community?
Yeah, that's. Are you asking, like, is the cited $15,000 a month rent actually going to be feasible, or might it end up, like, what assurance do we have that it won't be something significantly different? Is that the question?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So speaking to the accuracy of the figures that were cited before, can someone offer assurance that that will be accurate going forward and that it won't be something significantly different that would alter who could actually live there, the density, for instance, of what would actually be occupied in that space? Mr. Joyce?
Trying to kind of stay into scope with this question, this building is economically feasible because of its...
Point of order? Oh, you can't hear from that microphone?
Oh, can you hear from the... Sorry, I just wasn't close enough.
Is that better?
I apologize.
Can you hear back there? Okay.
The size and the need for this building, this is a smaller community than what they... for example, we're building a 185-unit community down in Plymouth. 145 units is on the smaller side. So the size of this is very much needed to make it economically feasible to construct. I cannot comment on what the rents would be right now. I just think that's, someone can tell me if I'm wrong, that's just not, it's not a zoning related matter. We would be working, diligently during the special permit process on, how our units would be laid out and, would there be affordable or not or anything like that. Though it would come up during the special permit process.
Okay. One last correction to the previous discussion. Mass Health, Medicare do provide significant physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and to my knowledge, every one of these people come in cars because of the complete scheduling that they have to fulfill. So those parking spaces will be used by others besides employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stephen Moore?
followed by Ms. Doctorow.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Steve Moore, Precinct 18. I just want to upfront register that I agree with Mr. Foskett's point of view. People should be allowed to ask questions about this particular project in their precinct. That being said, my question is, this particular developer and this particular arrangement between St. Camilla's Church, also the Catholic Archdiocese, et cetera, we've seen some plans with densities, with setbacks, with dimensional requirements. We expect that what we've seen in terms of plans is what will be built there, or something very similar. What is the arrangement that currently this developer and the owner would have with the church to follow through once they buy the land from the church? What forces them to do this and not something else?
Well, I don't think there's any assurance that could be given of that. This is the project that's being presented that is intended to be built there. I imagine any number of variables could change the outcome. Ms. O'Connor, do you want to address that?
Mary Winstanley O'Connor. We are in the process of finalizing a development agreement with the town that HYM Investments will only build a 145-unit assisted living and memory care unit there. They will build nothing else.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. When you say we, Ms. Winstanley, who are you speaking about?
Pardon me?
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Moderator, when Attorney Winstanley says we, who's making the agreement?
The town of Arlington and HYM Investments.
Okay, all right, thank you much. My one other question is that the group that is buying the property, I assume is an investor-owned group that is expecting a certain profit out of their dimensions and their setbacks and the program that we've seen. It is good to hear that the agreement is going to be limiting changes to that. I'm just wondering what will continue to maintain a certain level of care and care for this property and its subsequent dimensions after it's built with a for-profit group.
Ms. O'Connor?
Mary Winstanley O'Connor, I am certain, knowing the ARB, that they will put conditions in the special permit to that effect, that it'll be maintain the exterior and the landscaping and the like.
Great. Thank you very much for that information, Mr. Moderator. I do strongly support this. The people in my precinct support this. The first negative comment I heard from the gentleman that we heard from earlier, who was pretty unhappy, was the first negative comment I heard about this. I think it's probably as positive a solution as we can get for this corner. And I just hope you all vote to support it. Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you. Ms. Doctorow, followed by Mr. Christopher Moore.
Sue Doctorow, Precinct 21. I think I know the answer, but I think I got it, but I'd like to have it asked. Mr. Moderator, I'd like to know whether an assisted living of this nature is subject to our inclusionary zoning.
Mr. Revelack, is this subject to our inclusionary zoning?
So the inclusionary zoning provision of the bylaw lists a set of things that it applies to. So single-family, two-family, apartments, townhouses, assisted living facilities, a separate use, and it is not included. So I believe it is not subject to inclusionary zoning requirements. Thank you.
Just a quick follow-up. Do any municipalities have bylaws that would include assisted living?
Do any municipalities? It doesn't appear that anyone here knows that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Christopher Moore, Precinct 14. Given the density of this use as proposed in this article, I'm wondering if we could find out what thought has been given so far, anyway, to the impacts on town services, specifically thinking about water, sewer, and emergency response services.
Mr. Feeney, want to address
how like changes in dimensional and density regulations for this zone could impact town services.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Jim Feeney, Town Manager. So obviously this is in a very preliminary stage, but a fair question. The impacts that are probably on top of mind that will be ferreted out during the special permit process are the proximity of such a large building to our sewer lift station in that area and determining what the impacts would be there. And then this would be by far probably about 50% larger than any other facility of this type in Arlington. And interestingly, it would be located in the Park Ave response district for the Park Circle fire station, which currently also serves Drake, Sunrise, and the Park Ave Nursing Center. So I would expect, probably an annual call volume of at least 150 calls per year. So we're going to have to look at that in conjunction with all of the other sites being served by Engine 3 coming out of Park Circle and what the impacts may be on the one ambulance that we run currently through the fire department. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, are there ways in which the town could recover some of those costs other than the property tax?
Mr. Feeney, are there other ways to recover that other than through property tax?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Jim Feeney, Town Manager. Certainly something we can consider. You heard the attorney for the proponent refer to a development agreement that could be part of that discussion, but I also do know that at times when there are infrastructure needs and, when our engineering team meets with the development engineering team through the special permit process, that there may be an opportunity to identify any issues with infrastructure there regarding water or sewer and come up with a plan for addressing them.
Thank you. I think this is a good thing for us and a good thing for the town. Obviously, there's some details to get worked out, but I'm sure that we will get there as the special permit process continues. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. I'll take Mr. Granucci next, followed by Pi Fisher.
Carmine Granucci, Precinct 21. I move to terminate debate and all matters before it.
Okay, we have a motion to terminate debate under Article 51, and we have a second. All those in favor of terminating debate under Article 51 say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. It is a 2/3 vote. Debate is terminated. So we'll now proceed to a vote on the main motion under Article 51, which I'll briefly describe before we open voting. This would amend the zoning bylaw, Section 5.4.2A, to add dimensional and density regulations for assisted living residences on lots over 20,000 feet in the R6 district. And this is a 2/3 vote. So let's open voting now. On the main motion under Article 51, voting is now open. If you're in favor of that change to the zoning bylaw, press 1. If you're opposed to that change to the zoning bylaw, press 2 or 3 to abstain. Okay, voting is closed. We have a point of order? Yeah. The microphone, please.
Rod Holland, Precinct 7. Mr. Moderator, the device was unusually slow to respond. I had to mash it a couple of times to get it to work. That may have affected the vote.
Okay. Can we reopen voting? Yeah, let's review the screens. It's not really close here. It's 270 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative, 3 abstentions. It is a 2/3 vote. We'll scroll through the screen so folks can check. Based on the size of the roster here tonight, I can't imagine that there would be any number of votes that didn't register that would change the outcome. We'll go through the screens. Your vote did not go through. Anyone else, show of hands, who had issues with their vote going through that's not reflected here through the screens? Okay, well, we're going to proceed with this vote. It sounds like there might have been a couple of votes, possibly. Let's see. Let's see. Mr. Holland, did your vote register? The second time, yes. So it did show, it was reflected in the screen. Okay, so we're going to proceed with that 2/3 vote, as declared. Okay, so that takes us now to Article 52. So let's show and clear the speaker queue, and I believe Mr. Revelack will present. Okay, so let's clear the queue. Okay, Mr. Revelack, you have the floor.
Tell Mr. Moore was at this microphone before I was. Okay, I'm Steve Revelack, Vice Chair of the Arlington Redevelopment Board, and I'd like to introduce Article 52, which proposes to rezone certain parcels around Norcross Street from R1 to R2. The Redevelopment Board voted to recommend favorable action on Article 52 by a vote of 5-0. I'd like to introduce Steve McKenna to present the article. Mr. McKenna is an Arlington resident. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. McKenna, as an Arlington resident, you have the right to address the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Steve McKenna, 4 Upland Road, Arlington. I'm the proponent of Article 52. I've also been a real estate agent in Arlington for 40 years. In preparation of this article, I've met with the Redevelopment Board, the Planning Department, and I've had several in-person meetings and Zoom calls with the neighbors of Norcross Street. At its core, this article is about fairness, consistency, and creating equal opportunity for the homeowners in a very specific area in Arlington, primarily along Norcross Street, as well as abutting homes on North Union Street and Gardner Street. Could I have slide 1, please? This map depicts the current zoning on Norcross Street and a few homes abutting Norcross Street on North Union Street and Gardner Streets. As you can see by the map, many homes on Norcross Street are zoned R2 in the yellow, and others are zoned R1 in white. However, today, the reality is we have a situation where the zoning map does not reflect the reality of the neighborhood. If I could have slide 2, please. So on slide 2, as you can see on this map, the gray areas depict the reality. There are several properties in this area that are currently zoned R1 or single-family zone, despite the fact they've been used and built for many years as 2- and 3-family homes. At the same time, other homeowners in the same very zoning district are required to maintain their homes strictly as single-family residents. As a result, homeowners living side by side are not being treated equally under the zoning bylaws. To show how unfair the current zoning map is, I want to mention one specific simple example. 13 Norcross Street is currently zoned R1, exactly the same as the properties on each side of them, at number 11 Norcross and 17 Norcross. However, 17 Norcross is a 3-family home that was recently converted into 3 condominiums, while 11 Norcross Street is a 2-family home that was built in 1966 after the zoning bylaws of 1924. Although these properties sit directly next to one another within the same R1 district, they're not treated the same. Additionally, 12 and 14 Norcross Street, directly across from 13 Norcross, is a 2-family home also built in 1960. That inconsistency creates a very real financial and practical disadvantage for homeowners on Norcross Street and some of the abutting streets. The difference in value between a property restricted to a single-family use and a comparable 2-family use can easily exceed $100,000. And for many families in that area, or in any area, that is a significant amount of money, and it creates an inequity that deserves to be addressed. Could I have slide 3, please? Article 52 is a targeted and measured proposal intended to correct that inconsistency. It would rezone approximately 20 parcels from R1 to R2, bringing the zoning more in line with the existing use and long-established character of the neighborhood. As the map shows, much of Norcross Street is already zoned R2, as is all of Hilton Street, located directly behind Norcross Street. There are also multifamily buildings and apartment complexes throughout the immediate area on North Union Street. This article is not about dramatically increasing density or changing the character of the neighborhood. The neighborhood already has a fairly dense residential pattern, and many of these homes have functioned as multifamily properties for decades without the proper zoning. It is also important to note that this proposal does not change any dimensional requirements. Setbacks, building size, open space requirements, and other zoning protections all remain under the control of the zoning bylaws and the building commissioner, whether the property is zoned R1 or R2. This article is not intended in any way to favor developers. What Article 52 does is provide clarity, consistency, and fairness for property owners while eliminating long-standing non-conforming uses. The redevelopment board reviewed this proposal carefully and voted unanimously 5-0 in support of it. In their support, they describe it as a modest but meaningful step toward addressing inconsistent zoning in Arlington in a thoughtful and targeted way. This is not a broad rezoning effort. It is a very specific correction in a defined neighborhood where the current zoning simply no longer reflects reality. At the end of the day, this article is about making sure that families who live side by side are treated fairly with conformity within the zoning bylaws, allowing everyone the same financial opportunity. When I met with people at Thompson School, there were several people that have lived there 40, 50, and 60 years. And you can think back 40, 50, 60 years ago, they paid $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for their home. The reality is many of them have refinanced that home numerous times to take care of school needs, housing needs, health needs. And the difference in them having the ability to sell their home in an R2 district, similar to other people who have it on their street, I think would be essential to their significant opportunities for their financial well-being. And I do ask you for your support in Article 52. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's switch to the speaker queue view. And we do have more than 5 speakers, or requests to speak, so can we go ahead and shuffle that, please? Okay, we'll start with Mr. Greenspan, followed by Mr. Lewicki. Mr. Lewicki, followed by Mr. Christopher Moore.
JP Lewicki, Precinct 2. I think many of you have heard all the different reasons, both for and against allowing two-family zoning in Arlington. I would just say this is your chance for, if you're kind of skeptical of the two-family article last year, this is a great chance for a small-scale test in an area where half-ish of the lots already have two-family houses on them. And where we can kind of just provide a little more consistency, have a very small scale example of it. So I encourage you to vote for the article. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, followed by Mr. Pennington.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Christopher Moore, Precinct 14. I'm not necessarily opposed to the article, but I do have a procedural question. It's my understanding that anyone addressing town meeting needs to reveal any financial interest they have in an article they speak to. Is that correct, Mr. Moderator?
I believe that is correct.
Does the previous speaker have an interest in the outcome of this debate?
You mean the presenter or the...
The presenter, yeah.
Sorry. Mr. McKenna, can you speak to whether you have a financial interest in the outcome of this article?
I do not own any properties on Norcross Street or the abutting streets. I currently represent none of the owned homeowners in that area as well.
Great. Thank you, Mr. McKenna.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the arguments given seems to be that the value, the resale value of the homes would increase if they were zoned two-family. Would the assessed value also increase, thereby increasing the taxes on those properties?
Let's see, is Mr. Jameson here? Mr. Jameson, can you repeat the question, Mr. Moore?
Given that we're considering rezoning single-family houses to R2, does that change the assessed value of those properties, even if they're not developed into two families yet?
Gordon Jamison, Chair, Board of Assessors. We don't assess based upon possibility. We assess based upon what's there.
Okay, so the resale value doesn't enter into it?
The resale value is not a sale. We use sales to determine the relative values of different properties in different neighborhoods around town.
So if I owned an R1...
The Director of Assessments actually does that.
To be fair, to be clear, I don't own any property in this area. But if I owned one of those houses that's currently R1 and currently a single family, and we made this change, and one of my neighbors sold their house, which was also R1, for an increased price because it's now developable in two-family, how does that affect my taxes?
It might affect the land value, but it wouldn't affect the structure's value. But it also would allow you to, if you wanted to add on to your house, to make it a two-family.
If I were so interested, yeah.
If you were so interested in that. If you were to sell it, not speaking too much out of school, there might be more interest in it for someone who wants to do that if you want to leave the neighborhood, which we hope that you won't.
Thank you. I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing to do, but I think that as we make these sort of little piecewise changes in zoning, we should think a little bit about how it impacts all of the uses that are here and how it will affect our neighborhoods over time. I think this is a really modest change, though, and I think it's worth giving a try. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Mr. Pennington, followed by Mr. Hyam.
Kalen Pennington, Precinct 1. Unlike the previous speaker, I do actually own a house in this parcel. I'm 3 Norcross Street. I was in favor of the the changing of the rules around R1 last year to R2, so I feel like it would be very disingenuous of me to vote no on this article this year, to do it just in my neighborhood. That said, I have heard from some constituents in the neighborhood specifically concerns about green space. So that brings me to my question, which is, Mr. Moderator, if we saw, for the houses that are currently single family, if they were rebuilt to be two-family, how much green space would we expect to lose as a result of the change to parking requirements for the two-family housing?
Mr. Revlock, can you answer that? If all of
I guess I don't know off the top of my head how many of the properties that are being rezoned are currently single family. But my understanding is there would have to be parking changes to make it for two-family houses.
Yeah, so let's simplify and say, on average, for a given parcel that is affected by this proposed zoning change, if a two-family was built in that parcel where there's currently a one-family, how would that impact green space in terms of parking requirements being increased?
Sure. So the requirements, the dimensional requirements for a residential structure in R1 and R2 are nearly identical. The two differences are in R2 allows a 20-foot front yard setback where R1 requires 25. And the R2 parcel would require 1 parking space per dwelling. So a new R1 would have to have a minimum of 1, but it could be more. A new two-family in an R2 would have to have 2, but it could be more. In terms of open space requirements, the two districts are exactly the same.
Okay, yeah, I think I had it in my head that there was more than just 1 parking space per dwelling as the requirement there. So, thank you. Again, I will be voting yes on this. I would encourage you to as well, but I did want to raise that issue.
Thank you. I'll take Mr. Hyam, followed by Mr. Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Topher Hyam, Precinct 15. So first, the owners of these parcels to be rezoned have been notified? Yes.
Yeah, Mr. McKenna is nodding his head that they have been notified.
They've been notified.
Have been notified.
And I assume they are bought into this? They are supportive of this?
Mr. McKenna, can you speak to responses that you've gotten from the residents?
With the amount of people that attended the Zoom calls and attended the in-person meetings at the Thompson School, as well as the redevelopment board meetings, I can't give you the exact number of people who live in each home, but I would say that the majority of people that were there were all in favor of it, but I can't tell you the amount of people that actually owned homes in that neighborhood.
Thank you. Yeah, so I would say it's great that they've been notified, that this seems to be very targeted, which is a welcome change from some of the sledgehammer approaches we've seen in the past few years. So I would, say that I would support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Lane, followed by Ms. Stamps.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Adam Lane, Precinct 3. I live just around the corner from Norcross Street in Precinct 3, and I have traveled it many times bringing my children to and from Thompson School. I'm actually somewhat concerned about this article, Mr. Moderator. Norcross is a fairly narrow street that has a lot of cars parked on it during the day. I know there will be obviously requirements for off-street parking overnight, but during the day when there is traffic to and from Thompson School, obviously cars will be allowed to park on Norcross Street, and I wonder how much more difficult it will be to navigate that thoroughfare when you have greater density on the street. I also, Mr. Moderator, wonder if the move from single to multifamily dwellings is so disadvantageous. I am very familiar with the area, and single-family homes are very much in demand in my immediate neighborhood, and I know that some of these parcels have quite big lots. I would think that a single-family home on them could fetch a tidy sum. In closing, my train of thought may have just derailed. Bloody hell. Thank you.
Well, we start with your first question while you ponder your second question.
Could someone from the redevelopment board address the topic of parking on Norcross Street during the day?
Yes. Ms. Revlock, can you address parking on Norcross Street and the impact that it might have to have potentially several more two-family houses there?
Well, Norcross Street, I believe, is a public way, and people can park on a public way. That is not under the jurisdiction of the redevelopment board.
Thank you for that. Mr. Moderator, I have miraculously remembered my last point, which is we all favor fairness in zoning, and it does seem at first blush to be unfair that houses next to one another should be zoned for different uses. However, there are plenty of places around town where different zones butt up against one another, and you can have different uses adjacent to one another. I don't think that is necessarily a convincing argument for this change. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, next, Ms. Stamps, followed by Pi Fisher. There's only one way to have no discontinuities. That's if you have one zone, but that's a mathematical observation. Ms. Stamps.
Hi, Susan Stamps, Precinct 3. I live very near Adam Lane on Grafton Street. That's my regular jogging route to go through down to the Thompson School and over to the Alewife Brook Greenway through this very area we're talking about. I think it's a great idea to rezone it to R2. It's a very humble neighborhood. There are a lot of quite small houses. There's room to build two-family houses on a lot of those lots. And it would be great for a small family between the Alewife Greenway and the Thompson School and the Mystic River on the third side of them and a park on the other side. So it's a great area, and if we can create more two-family by right in town, especially in an area like this where young families will be attracted to come because of the Thompson School, I think we're all for it. We should all be for it. So I encourage you to vote yes on this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take Pi Fisher from the satellite room.
Hi, Fisher, Precinct 6. I move the previous question on Article 52.
Okay, we have a motion to terminate debate under Article 52, and we have a second. All those in favor of terminating debate under Article 52, say yay. Yay. All those opposed, say nay. Nay. It is a 2/3 vote. Debate is terminated. We'll now proceed to a vote on the main motion of Article 52, and I'll just summarize that briefly before we open voting. This is a 2/3 vote to amend the zoning map to rezone multiple specified parcels in East Arlington from R1 single family to R2 two family. So let's open voting now on the main motion under Article 52. If you're in favor of this change to the zoning map, press 1. If you're opposed to this change to the zoning map, press 2, or 3 to abstain. Okay, get your votes in. Okay, voting is closed. This is a 2/3 vote. And it passes. 173 in the affirmative, 39 and negative 3 abstentions. It is a 2/3 vote. That brings us now to Article 53. Mr. Revlock, did you, let's show the speaker queue and clear that. Okay, the speaker queue is now clear and open for Article 53 debate. Mr. Revlock, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm Steve Revlock, Vice Chair of the Arlington Redevelopment Board, and Article 53 basically proposes stricter requirements for the use of the mixed-use bonus in the Mass Ave and Broadway multifamily district. The Redevelopment Board voted to recommend no action on Article 53 by a vote of 4 to 1. The majority of the board felt that the proposed requirements would make it more difficult to use the mixed-use provisions and thereby reduce the opportunity for new commercial space in the Mass Ave and Broadway district. The Redevelopment Board discussed the Cullinan substitute motion at their May 4th meeting, and the sentiments were essentially the same as those expressed to the ARB's report on Article 53. The Redevelopment Board did not have an opportunity to meet and discuss the Macaluso substitute motion. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now invite up the proponents of the citizens petition. Let's see, Ms. Cullinan. Okay, you have the floor.
Okay, do I have to move the motion first?
You should do that in
Okay.
case you run out of time.
I make a motion to move the substitute motion on the Cullinan Slotnick substitute motion. Okay.
And we have a motion for the substitute motion, and we have a second just now before us. Thank you. And your slides are up.
They're up, okay. Oh, and I can see them there, okay. Thank you. I'm Joanne Cullinan of Precinct 21. For me and my co-author, Larry Slotnick, Precinct 7. In 2023, town meeting passed Article 12, which included a commercial bonus as part of our new MBTA overlay rules for parcels in the overlay on Mass Ave and Broadway. It offers developers a chance to earn a bonus of an extra 5th floor on Broadway and a 0 setback, or an extra 5th and 6th floor on Mass Ave plus a 0 setback, but only if at least 60% of the ground floor at street level is occupied by commercial space. Slide 2. So what does ground floor at street level mean? Surprisingly, the term is up for debate because the 4 members of the ARB who voted on the motion are split on what it meant 2 to 2. The law, however, stipulates no deductions from the ground floor of the type being deducted now in practice. Slide 3. So why is the definition important? Well, thousands of stakeholders were involved in the multi-year process that led to this bonus. Residents, town meeting members, some of you, who aren't brand new, and the Chamber of Commerce, which endorses our motion wholeheartedly. You've seen some of the many letters. Yet ground floor calculations are being proposed now that shrink the size of commercial space required to qualify for these bonuses and enable the bonuses on the smallest of lots as if by right. As town meeting members, we must look to the goals and spirit of what town meeting passed in 2023. Slide 4. We listened to arguments at hearings about ground floor terminology and to board members' recollections. We know everyone's memories can fade over time, so we consulted the public record and found the bonus rule explained in the record. On October 2nd, 2023, at the last public hearing where the ARB finalized the terms of Article 12, the head of the consulting firm who worked with us, our town, for many long months on the overlay said when asked, "Our thinking was that it works on both big parcels and smaller parcels. If you had a 10,000 square foot building, that's 6,000 square feet of retail. If you have a smaller parcel, let's say your footprint is 3,000 square feet, right, or 2,000 square feet, it would still give you 1,200. I still think within the 60%, on big projects you're getting a lot, and on smaller projects you're still realistic." The board members agreed they were comfortable with the 60% of footprint rule and voted 4-0 to endorse the article that created this bonus. Next, please. The consultant specified 60% of the footprint. What is that? Simply put, it is everything under the outline of the roof of a structure as seen from above, projected downward onto the ground, like a stamp on the ground. So what happens if we don't clarify, next please. What happens if we don't clarify that the rule is 60% of the footprint? First of all, the town forfeits larger commercial spaces, square footage within those spaces, and we could see the canyonization effects on Broadway with token shops potentially as small as 600 or 700 square feet, giving developers 0 setbacks and extra height side by side, but providing no vitality, which was the purpose of the bonus. Many shops could end up vacant as they would be the size spaces said to be hard to lease in Arlington, in other words, under 2,000 square feet. This is because some say we can exempt parts of the ground floor from the definition of ground floor. When that's done, commercial space gets reduced to well below the 60% of footprint we settled upon. 60% could end up being 40%, 30%, or even lower. It's not clear as commercial gets squeezed. In the initial broad plans for 126 Broadway, 577 square feet would have been shaved off the goal. That project morphed over time, but those were that was the loss. At 259 Broadway, the plans were 480 feet short of 60% of footprint. Even these final square footage amounts were never guaranteed. Next, please. Here we see a visualization of what our MBTAC overlay allows on Broadway and Mass Ave by right. A developer can build 4-story residential buildings along with countless other housing configurations. They could be 2-story, they can be 3-story, they must be 3+ units. Notably, 3-story and 4-story buildings would have setbacks allowing for some green space. Next. These are the recent plans for 126 Broadway after they acquired a second lot. They redesigned it upwards from 14 to 28 units above some commercial space. They did design for 60% of the footprint to be commercial to meet our bonus rule. Residents were deeply dismayed when the board suggested shaving some space from the commercial area for utilitarian items that hadn't been worked in, rather than other changes that one board member said could have been made instead of shaving from commercial. Slide 9. Here we see developers trying to creatively minimize what they want ground floor to mean at 259 Broadway in order to skirt our 60% of ground floor rule. They suspended much of the second floor in the air. Using footprint as a baseline prevents these tactics.
You have 1 minute.
Okay. So we urge you to vote yes on Article 53. There are a number of reasons to preserve the goal and intent of our commercial bonus rule, to restore public trust, which is damaged by abrupt changes right out of the gate, to preserve proportionality and past public process, to give Arlington meaningfully sized commercial spaces on some lots if the developer earns those bonuses, and to put the onus on developers to meet our standards rather than altering set standards to accommodate developers. So the next slide is our motion language. After we penned a description of building footprint, Mr. Eugene Benson kindly agreed to check it for thoroughness and accuracy. He added a few suggestions and found it sound.
10
Article
seconds.
53 makes no change to the bonus rule language in 584E1, but adds a sentence just at the end to clarify ground floor means the structure's footprint. It aligns implementation with what was approved at the time and passed by town meeting without changes at that time.
We're out of time.
Thank you. Please vote yes for the Slotnick-Cullinan motion. Thank you.
Thank you. So before I shuffle the speaker queue, I'm just going to have the presenters with the motions that were submitted in advance give their presentations, so you can hear all those presentations, and then after those 3 presentations, I'll go ahead and show and shuffle the speaker queue. So next I want to invite up Ms. Macaluso, I believe from the satellite room, to offer another substitute motion.
Hello, Remy Macaluso, Precinct 3. Before I start, be it moved as written. Could I get a second?
Okay. Okay. The Macaluso substitute motion is moved and seconded. Go ahead.
Cool. So I want to start by kind of explaining what it is that we're talking about when we're talking about these overhangs. Could we go to the next slide? This is a picture of 80 Broadway. It was proposed and built before the MBTA Communities Act was passed. So it does not use the commercial space bonus because that did not exist at the time. It does, however, have all the architectural features that we're talking about. So on the left side, we can see on the first floor that it has a commercial space, which is currently being used as a gym. It's a nice gym. I've been there. On the top, we can see that it has apartment buildings, and off on the right side on the first floor, we can see what's commonly called podium parking, where the second floor is raised above a parking lot. We can also see a lot of the parking spots are empty because the parking spaces are required by town meeting, and town meeting has a large number of car owners compared to the number of people who live in apartment buildings like me. Could we go to the next slide? The motion as presented originally to the ARB was rejected by the ARB because it made projects infeasible with our current requirements. It was also rejected because it is seeking to make a policy change by clarifying an incorrect definition of a term that gets used a number of times throughout our zoning code. So my substitute motion instead clarifies that the ARB is using the correct definition of the term here and in the rest of the zoning code. And also, instead of requiring a full 60% of the building area, it requires only a 50% of the building area. So the projects that have been proposed so far that do take advantage of the commercial bonus remain feasible. These spaces that have been proposed so far do provide good commercial spaces that are all usable and are larger than a lot of other commercial spaces that have been built recently. When I was deciding on the 50% number, my goal was to prevent the narrow edge cases, such as which would result in buildings similar to the ones that we see near Alewife in the Fuse and Lux type apartment buildings, where the bottom floor is almost entirely parking and has just a small leasing office, basically. So that's what we're trying to avoid with this. But I don't want to kill the golden goose and prevent any new buildings from taking advantage of the bonus. And that's why I chose the 50% number. I will also say there are a number of amendments to my motion, which I welcome. I know Jean had one clarifying some of the wording, which I support. And I heard that someone else wanted to change the number from 50% to 30%, and I will let them justify why they want to do that. But the motion that I am making requires 50% of the building area to be commercial. Thank you for your time. That's my motion.
Great, thank you. I'll now invite Mr. Benson to offer his amendment to the Macaluso substitute motion.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Eugene Benson, Precinct 10. Filed a motion to amend the Macaluso substitute motion. May I have a second to my motion? Thank you.
Okay, it is now
Mr.
before us.
Moderator, may we make a administrative clarification
Yes,
to
we
my
did speak.
motion?
We spoke about this in advance. Why don't you describe it? Do we have?
The clarification is after the word "but" to add the words of the commercial space. So it would read, refers to the gross floor area of the ground floor, but the commercial space shall not, but in no case, be less than 50%.
I believe, yes, and I believe, Madam Clerk, I believe we have a document that was prepared that has that text in context. Yes, the text of the motions document for Article 53, just so folks can see this in context. And this is not an amendment to the substitute motion, which would not be allowed, but because it's just clarifying the subject, you scroll all the way to the bottom, please. There's red text there, yes. So Mr. Benson's asking for an administrative change to insert the commercial space into that, which I am accepting administratively. Not because an amendment to a substitute is not allowed, you can't go 3 levels deep, not because of that, but because it actually clarifies what the subject of shall is, which was otherwise ambiguous. So I think that's an appropriate change to make administratively, because that was clearly the intention that I got from my reading of it before it had that subject in there. So I'm allowing that. So that I'm considering that part of the motion. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So why have I made an amendment to amend the Macaluso substitute motion? The reason is, and I hate to get you into the weeds of the zoning bylaw, but that's the only way for me to explain this. Her motion used the term building and building area. A building is defined by the zoning bylaw as a structure with 4 sides and a roof. So when you use the word building, it may apply to the footprint of the building, but it may not if part of the footprint of the building is not solely enclosed by walls. Then the Macaluso substitute motion used the term building area to describe what was supposed to be the denominator in the 50%, but since the definition of building in the zoning bylaw is enclosed by 4 walls, therefore the building area must be enclosed by 4 walls. And in addition, the definition of building area in the zoning bylaw includes all the buildings on the lot, not simply one building. So my fear was if we did not amend this, we would end up with something that in one part of it said 60% must be commercial, and yet in ground floor must be commercial. And the next part would be 50%. And ground floor area also is something that's defined in the zoning bylaw as something that is enclosed by walls. So if we didn't amend this, it would end up saying 60% of the gross floor area must be commercial, and at least 50% must be commercial. So it would be internally contradictory. So what I did instead was just get rid of the building area of the proposed building and put in basically what describes the footprint, which is what the Macaluso substitute motion intended. So I would ask that you vote for this so that we at least have that substitute motion that makes sense and is consistent with the definitions in the zoning bylaw. I will say, just so it's clear where I'm coming from on this, my great preference is to vote for the Cullinane-Slotnick amendment, and I hope you will not end debate before I have a chance to talk about that. But if it doesn't pass, this is a compromise between that and what the redevelopment board has done, which I believe does not carry through the letter and intent of the zoning bylaw. So I'd say that Macaluso is a compromise, but if we're going there, let's make it say the right thing. Thank you.
Before you go anywhere, Mr. Benson, actually, let's redo the moving of the motion because folks seconded that before they saw the corrected text. So let's just do that so that we're technically
So may
accurate.
I have a second to the motion with the extra red words?
And this will, okay, we have a second. That subsumes the earlier motion and replaces it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so let's show the speaker queue. Now that we're done with the initial presentations of the motions, I just want to correct the record. In my experience, Mr. Benson does, in fact, enjoy getting into the weeds of the zoning bylaw. Okay, so we have the speaker queue here, and let's go ahead and shuffle this. Okay, did that shuffle? I think I saw something move. Shuffled, okay. So we'll start off with Ms. Bergman, followed by Mr. Hullman. Holman, not Holland. Yep.
Tell me if it's too loud. Robert Bergman, Precinct 12. I'm going to read a letter from the Chamber of Commerce. Dear town meeting members, the Arlington Chamber of Commerce writes in support of Article 53, which preserves the original meaning of the commercial bonus provision in Section 5.8.4E1 of the zoning bylaw. The requirement that 60% of the ground floor at street level be occupied by eating and drinking establishments, business services, childcare, or retail uses in order to qualify for additional height in the Mass Ave Broadway multifamily overlay districts. The Chamber has long advocated for substantial, well-sized commercial spaces along Broadway and Mass Ave. When we commented on the original MBTA communities proposal in October 2023, we expressed concern that even a 60% requirement applied to the ground floor footprint could produce storefronts too small to support the kinds of retail, food service, and childcare uses that residents rely on. We urge the town to consider a higher first floor percentage on zero setback buildings and to incentivize second floor commercial space precisely because ground floor commercial space needs to be substantial enough to be leasable, to draw foot traffic, and to anchor an active streetscape. Against that backdrop, we are concerned by recent discussions of whether 60% of the ground floor might be calculated using gross floor area, a measure that does not appear in the bonus rule and that is distinct from the ground floor itself. In practice, calculating 60% on a base that excludes lobbies, amenity space, back of the house, and parking can produce considerably smaller commercial footprints than a reading tied to the building's ground floor footprint. From the Chamber's perspective, the smaller the commercial space, the harder it is to attract and retain the businesses we want. That outcome would run counter to what the Chamber has advocated for since 2023, commercial spaces sized to be commercially viable. Article 53 offers a helpful clarification by drawing on language from the state building code. It ties the ground floor to the building's footprint, so the commercial requirement scales naturally with the size of the building. That is the version of the rule town meeting debated and adopted in 2023, and it is the version that produces commercial space large enough to be leasable, occupiable, and genuine contributors to our commercial corridors. Bonuses for additional height and reduced setbacks are not required by state law. They are concessions Arlington has chosen to offer in exchange for genuine public benefit. The Chamber believes those concessions are most valuable when paired with substantial commercial space. Article 53 helps ensure that the bonus continues to deliver that benefit, supports our small businesses and tax base, and reflects the careful public process that produced the 2023 bylaw. For these reasons, the Arlington Chamber of Commerce respectfully asks town meeting to support Article 53 substitute motion by Joanne Cullinan and Larry Slotnick. We thank them, the petitioners, for bringing it forward, and we thank town meeting for your continued attention to the conditions that make Arlington a place where people want to live, work, shop, and visit. Sincerely, Beth Locke, Executive Director, on behalf of the Chamber Board of Directors. I'll be supporting the Cullinan motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Take Mr. Holman, followed by Mr. Holland.
Aram Holman, Precinct 6. I am concerned, having attended some of these hearings, that the redevelopment board, which spends a great deal of time and effort defining terms and which has an extensive glossary, dictionary of definitions in the zoning bylaw, resorted to using terms which are simply not defined. I don't think we should be doing that, and I will also be supporting Article 53. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Holland?
Rod Holland, Precinct 7. Keeping it very brief, I support Article 53 because it demystifies what's required to get a bonus. We've had a lot of difficulty with bonuses over the last year. I think this helps the situation. I'm for it.
Thank you. That's Samia Hesney, followed by Christopher Moore.
Samia Hesney, Precinct 1. Mr. Moderator, could I ask perhaps someone from the ARB to expand on how they are currently interpreting ground floor and other aspects related to 53?
Yes. Someone from the ARB, Mr. Baudouin, want to speak to the redevelopment board's current interpretation of this bonus criterion.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and thank you, Ms. Hesney. I'm Vincent Baudouin, Precinct 1, and member of the Redevelopment Board. Mr. Moderator, could we bring up the presentation for Macaluso? Would that be possible?
Yeah, could we bring up the Macaluso presentation, please? Okay.
Thank you. Can you go to the previous page? Previous, let's keep going back. I'm looking for the page with the three-dimensional, there we go, thank you. This article deals with terms that can seem very abstract, and I worked with Ms. Macaluso to draw a few diagrams that can help the meeting understand how the ARB has been applying the terms in the bylaw in practice, and help clear up a few of the statements, including a few erroneous statements that have been made so far. The project that you see up here is just an example project. It certainly doesn't cover every possible situation, but it does resemble some of the projects that have recently come before the board. It has 4 upper floors of housing shown in green. The ground floor has a residential entry area shown in blue, and the project is applying for the commercial bonus under section 5.8.4E of our bylaw. So it includes a commercial space on the ground floor shown in yellow. The project includes parking on the back side, and you note that the upper floors are projecting a little bit over those parking spaces, which is important. Can we go to the next slide? Just zoom in on the ground floor. The ground floor includes 5,000 square feet of enclosed space, enclosed by walls, And of that, 2,000 is taken up by the residential entry, and then there's a 3,000 square foot commercial space. This proposal would be acceptable to the board because 3,000 is 60% of 5,000. The Slotnick-Cullinan motion proposes to change the calculation so that we would have to include the projection of the upper floors in the denominator, and so this project would not be acceptable under the Slotnick-Cullinan. The commercial space is 3,000 square feet. The projection of the upper floors in this case is 6,000 square feet, so it would only be 50% of the total, not 60%. So the builder might try to respond to this change. Next slide, please. What could they try to do? They could try to shrink the residential entry to get the commercial space to 3,600 square feet, which is 60% of 6,000. This makes it extremely difficult to fit in all the services associated with a residential entry, such as entry lobby, mailboxes, stairs, elevator, trash room, bike room, building utility rooms. They might be able to do it, they might not. Next slide, please. Another solution is to expand the commercial space towards the back. With apologies, the area there still says 3,000 square feet, but it should say 3,600. That's what they have to get to. So the impact here is that they're losing some of their parking spaces, and the board has been reluctant to allow such an extreme parking reduction in most cases. So they might not be able to meet our parking requirements. Next slide, please. Third possible solution. In this case, they're shrinking the residential floors above. They've kind of given up on the projection. They're shrinking the floors above to 5,000 square feet instead of 6,000. So you're losing 1,000 square feet per floor. That's 4,000 square feet total. That's about 4 or 5 dwellings. I'll let you decide whether that's a good or bad thing. You know, this is just the math that they're having to do, and the project might not be feasible financially. Next slide, and the last possible solution, the one that I think is likeliest to happen, is that the builder would abandon the commercial bonus entirely in this case. It just is too hard to make it work, so they have to shrink the building in this case because they don't have the reduced setback and they don't have the additional floor. They're likely to not provide a commercial space. You know, commercial space is just not particularly profitable to build, and so they're much more likely to just have an apartment on the ground floor, and we're not getting any commercial space. Next slide, please. And the last, just to wrap up and circle back to the Macaluso substitute motion. So under the Macaluso substitute motion, we would clarify all these terms. We wouldn't be guessing how we're defining terms like ground floor. Just to clarify, we're not removing the 60% requirement. We're applying the 60% requirement to the area enclosed by walls at the ground floor. And then the Macaluso motion is also adding a kind of backstop or guardrail of you can't go below 50% of the projection of the upper floors. So this project complies. The yellow area is 60% of the area enclosed by walls. It's 50% of the area projected of the floors above projected on the ground floor, and that is the minimum that they could build. I hope this gives some insight into how the board, this totally off-the-cuff speech, I hope this gives some insight into how the board has been applying the zoning concepts on real projects. I plan to support the Macaluso substitute motion. Happy to take any further questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to ask a question of the chair of the redevelopment board. I mean, because obviously a single member of the board does not speak for the board, but the chair may. Do you have anything to add to that? No, nothing to add. Okay.
Thank you.
All set. Okay. Mr. Christopher Moore, followed by Mr. Wagner.
Christopher Moore, Precinct 14. Mr. Moderator, could we hear about the negative vote that was from one member of the board on the no action for this?
Oh, the negative vote. Yeah. So which member of the redevelopment board voted no on no action? Is that in the report?
Steve Revelock, Arlington Redevelopment Board. The negative vote was Ms. Zembery, who is not here tonight. And
Mr. Moore, is your question like who was the vote or what was the rationale for the negative vote?
The latter.
Okay. Can anyone any current members of the redevelopment board speak for the rationale for Ms. Zembery's negative vote? Oh, it is covered in the report. Yeah.
so yeah, I'm trying to locate it in the report.
I missed it then.
No, the board's
paragraph.
report on Article 53, the section labeled vote states no action, 4-1, Ms. Zembery dissenting. So I believe that was this may have been after Mr. Benson stepped down and Mr. Bedoin joined the board. But my basic recollection, and I'm not finding the exact words in the report, but my recollection is that Ms. Zembery wanted to see a high bar for achieving the bonus.
Thank you.
Yeah, second paragraph, page 42 of the ARB report.
I think we need to figure out how to make this work, but I agree that we don't want to make it too easy either. So given the sizes of the spaces that have been approved so far under the board's current operating process, I think we could leave that in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wagner, followed by Pi Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Carl Wagner, Precinct 15. I was at the meeting of the ARB where the reason for Ms. Cullinane and Mr. Slotnick's substitute motion came to being. It was this 126, 128 Broadway building, which at the time and maybe still was going to be the test case for how these bonuses go in this MBTA density overlay, which itself is still very new. I wanted to remind people here, the representatives of the people who live in our town, that the MBTA density overlay is in residential districts. It's a big change. It proposes 4-floor buildings on Mass Ave and Broadway, but it redefines a floor to be 33% bigger than a floor normally is. So these are massive even at 4 floors. And I think what the idea with the developer bonus, because it's a gift to the developer, in giving them 1 or 2 floors extra, letting them go out to the property boundaries without any setback, was you got to do something good for the neighbors who you are actually hurting by this enormous building right next to their property. Think of on Broadway where you have the 4-floor buildings, which is really 33% bigger on each floor. It's like a 5-floor, 52-foot building already. In that situation, you've got houses next to it that are shadowed, that are diminutive in size compared to these enormous buildings. So if we let them go to having an extra floor and 0 setback, we're going to be now giving them a building that is more than double the height of their house. And we're going to be making it dangerous to get around corners and nothing between the sidewalk and the building. So it was supposed to have a good business use. And I really want you to remember that small businesses are shown not to work. They need to have a large space to go into. 60% of that space underneath the 2nd floor is what was envisioned by the consultants that in 2023 talked to us in this very room, standing right there to the ARB. And I want to tell you that when I saw the 126, 128 debate, that I was shocked. I thought it was a low point in ARB decisions that they said, no, you don't need to do 60% of that floor underneath the 2nd floor space. What they were pointing out was going to go in was trash and dumpster space and 4 car spaces. So this was going to be a trash and dumpster bonus if you let it go through without being 60% of the actual floor. Please don't vote for a trash and dumpster bonus in our town. Instead, go for the Cullinane and Slotnick substitute motion and avoid the other one. Thank you.
Thank you. Take Pi Fisher next.
Pi Fisher, Precinct 6. I move the previous question on Article 53, the Cullinane-Slotnick substitute, the Macaluso substitute, and the Benson amendment.
Okay. We have a motion to terminate debate on all motions under Article 53. All those in favor of terminating debate say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. Nay. It is not terminated. It's not a 2/3 vote. We have 5 people standing. We'll take an electronic vote on termination of debate. And let's... Okay, voting is now open on termination of debate under Article 53. If you wish to terminate debate, press 1. If you want to continue debate, press 2. So make sure I get the speaker queue. Okay, let's close voting. And the motion to terminate debate fails. 111 in the affirmative, 80 in the negative, 3 abstentions. So we have a motion to adjourn, and we have a second. All those in favor of adjourning to reconvene, actually, before I take that, do we have any notices, anyone wish to give notices of reconsideration for any articles that were disposed of tonight? Seeing none. All those in favor of adjournment say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. We are adjourned.